24th. It is 8:30 a.m. Let the record reflect that a quorum of commissioners is present and established. Thank you all guys for being here today. And that this meeting was posted in accordance with Texas Government Code 551, better known as Texas Open Meetings Act. Can we be in proximity today? Are you feeling better? Sorry. Our chief deputy, for those at home, I'm going to do a better job going forward. I have not stopped and redone the rules of decorum. I don't mean to put it on anybody, but when we have people speak, we're going to have them come up to the podium moving forward. Some of us have soft voices. Some of us like me, have 120 decibel whispers. But the folks at home can't hear us. So we're going to do a little better job of coming up. Anyway, all that being said and done, this meeting is held both in person and online. We didn't have anybody sign up by 8 o'clock this morning to speak online. So if you want to participate, you'll have to do it in person. At this time, if we could Pastor, could I ask you to give us the invitation, please, sir?
Oh God, Father, we thank you once again for this day, Lord. We come praying for Judge Lewis and all the commissioners, all these that are involved with the county, Lord. We ask you to give them wisdom and knowledge to operate this county as you would have to be. And Father, we look to you and thank you for all things. In Christ Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
If you'll follow the pledge of America, that's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you so much, bro. Appreciate you.
Lead us in the national anthem.
Man, I don't want to get kicked out of my own courtroom. I couldn't carry a lead note and a tin bucket. All right. What's happening in Precinct 1 Hill County this morning?
Well, we are hauling Pete Drive and get ready to finish our chip seal project on 1414 site that we had contributions come into the portfolio.
It is chip sealing.
So we're just about have the road fixed and ready to go. We've got put a road wall, we've got a couple of thin spots, but find a way and rolling packing one and hauling Pete Drive. We should have all the material on site this week.
Man, when that gets done, that's going to free up some time, because I know that 1414 is a heavy maintenance road.
It has been eating our lunch, and then we're trying to catch up from the rain, and it's just a process.
Yeah, limited resources, limited response, unfortunately. Commissioner, what's happening in Precinct 2 this morning?
Well, Arlen was finishing up the bridge yesterday, and I think he was trying to get moved up to Martins. He did. And we're gonna we'll hold all the excess dirt. We had quite a bit of left before we expanded the bridge 20 foot. Got rid of that yesterday. We're gonna probably leave the road closed till probably Thursday, give it a few more days to cure, maybe Friday.
Okay.
Give it time. People won't even know when we're gonna open it. I said, when it's ready, we'll let them know.
What's the load rating going to be on that bridge?
Whatever you want to put across.
No. Oh, he built a bridge.
Yeah, it's got 24-inch beams under it.
Oh, good night.
They're heavy duty. Some rating, he said that they were going with whoever who builds material was a lighter beam, but this beam is it's thick. There's seven of them under that thing. Wow. So the low rating would be, I'm not gonna say in public, but it'll hold up anything you want to put across it.
That's great. Good.
Yes, sir. And then we're still trying to haul rock. Got a call this morning. Connors did have some rock on the ground. So we're trying that first. So back to that.
Keep your fingers crossed hope that works out. Commissioner, what's happening down Precinct 3 today?
We're trying to get some grass cut. We got 2 shredders going and brush cutter going. Been working with a little job on 31 with TxDOT, getting some minutes there. So that's kind of off and on. Yesterday they milled down a hump and hit it road base, so they had to stop there because they had to lay asphalt before they could leave. And so ran into that. Cleaning some ditches and hauling dirt and trying to do some gravel and stuff.
Staying busy for sure. Commissioner Lake, what's happening in Precinct 4 today?
We're trying to clean up one ditch with one unit, clean shredder and a shredder going. And we're trying to haul a little gravel to the lot so we'll have some extra, because you always seem like you need some, and
it's been difficult to get rocks. Some days you can't get any.
Having a small stockpile, you're gonna use it, so, good deal. Rachel, what's going on with Treasury Office? That's right, that's this week.
All that, providing super review of the changes. Other than that, AP payroll. rock and roll.
Awesome, good deal. Chief, what's happening in the sheriff's office this week?
Just working towards transition, still looking forward to retirement. So we did, want to put it on our Facebook. To, let everybody know that school's back in session. We have one deputies follow, a bus in the morning and then again, the afternoon, just to see if anybody would, pass by. And indeed, one did, and so he wrote real serious, problems, at least somehow, so.
Oh, wow.
We don't like them tickets, we don't like them tickets, but.
We don't like people breaking the law either.
But in this instance with the kids, and I saw that it's first day of school, get it. So, we're just trying to make our. Let us be seen out in the school district and.
You guys- Y'all have done a good job of that over the years. I appreciate that. Tom, what's going on with emergency management this week?
Just been trying to figure out why nobody submitted bids for our hazard mitigation plan.
I'm a little concerned about that in a second.
I've reached out to a couple of vendors and we're probably gonna go back through the process again. I don't know if there's any other way around it, but we're running out of time.
We're gonna have to rebid that more than likely. The other thing, I noticed that yesterday I got an email from the state that the hazard mitigation grants for several different disasters have opened, including the April 26th. I'll ship you that email. They sent it to me yesterday. So good deal. Philip, what's going on in IT?
A couple of things we got going on in IT, we're both related to the sheriff's office and jail, the live scan, which is a fingerprint computer in the jail. It's gonna be replaced, that one's, it's a little older, out of warranty, so forth, so it's gonna get an update, and then the, of course, I believe I spoke about the camera server.
Okay.
Troubles that we have there, something to be able to, place an order for a couple of new ones,
I think we can get that accomplished, hopefully.
yes,
From this chair, basically, budget is all consuming, working with the tax assessor collector this morning to get some numbers, to get in the paper. We have some notices, the proposed budget, minimum revenue rate, and then we're gonna take care of the other thing I need to get in the notice today and during this meeting is proposed elected official salaries. Moving forward, we have, again, open enrollment. I can't stress to everybody how important it is that your employees come in for open enrollment. Because we are changing providers this year, going from Blue Cross to Curative to save the county some money. And while we've heard good things, just make sure everybody gets up here Thursday and Friday. It's going to be important. Otherwise, it's been fairly busy around this place. The dockets have picked up. This is kind of weird for this time of year. Usually it's kind of dead. So we'll take it again. Hey, good to see you, Warren. But otherwise, that's what we've got to report. So at this time, is there anybody here that has something they would like to address the court about? Open forums, what this is. It's your opportunity to say something to the court. Yes, sir. If you'll stand up so we can hear, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but speak loudly. You don't have to yell, but speak loud. The folks that are paying attention at home can hear too.
Well, now I'm nervous. I didn't
mean to make you nervous, I promise. Didn't mean to do that.
My name is Matthew Ellison. I live out at Chisholm Shore Retreat.
Yes.
It's over in precinct 1. Live on Easel Drive. And the county came out a couple of years ago and they blacktopped the road, made a lot of improvements out there, especially the entrance going into the neighborhood.
Okay.
And all that's held up pretty well. But a year and a half ago, somewhere around there, we had an issue with Mountain View Lane washing out. The ditches weren't good, the culverts were stopped up, so they put one hell of a nice crown on the road. Did a bang up job. And I spoke to one of the workers and they said they would be back in a week to put the new culverts in. Well, that was well over a year and a half ago. And what we got is the worst road is Mountain View. It's my neighbor Joey, he lives back around that road. For the last year, or at least 9 months, you can't even drive to his house. You have to go down to the entrance to the park, come in the back way. I have a couple of photographs I'd like to show y'all. It's the worst road. Mine's second worst. Rogers Lane My other neighbor, he got out there with his own personal power washer and tried to clean the culvert out, but even that one's collapsed and got a split in it that could potentially hurt a tire.
Yeah.
But let's see. I use my old pickup. There it is turning off of Mountain View, right? Go ahead and pass it around. There it is going off of Mountain View onto Thompson Drive. And it's just the cross member or something underneath drags, and you gotta hit it with just a little bit of speed. Matter of fact, the guy who lives around that corner, his one of his neighbors or one of his friends came over, got stuck. He had to use his pickup truck to pull his friend out of the ditch. Otherwise it would have been a wreck. So I'm just up here to ask, please find a way to come out and, replace them or clean them out, however you gotta do it. There's one other picture and pass it around. This right here is 2012 Mustang, used to be my wife's daily driver. There's the plastic air dam that's ripped off the right front. If you
Sorry,
it's just,
my glasses.
that's the right
I got
front
you.
tire, and that's a piece of plastic where last time she took that car across our entrance, it tore it up. Now that right there, I'm gonna fix. I'll get under there in a faster and take care of it. But it's doing damage, and even, I mean, her Nissan Murano, she has to go around. So is there any way that y'all can get out there in the next, month or something, to maybe address it?
We just got so far behind the rain and a lot of the roads look a lot like that.
Well, in this situation right here, after we get a good 3-inch rain, it's actually worse. After we take cars and my 4-wheel drive can go through it. After we drive through it for a couple of weeks, it rounds off and kind of fills in. But the first 7 days to a week after a good substantial rain, it's horrible.
Yeah, that's definitely at the top of our list now and do. I've had several calls up there and we're gonna address that.
I really appreciate it.
Taking your time on what that is.
I was, talking amongst the neighbors, we're kind of getting frustrated because it's just taking so long. And then, of course, we never really hear anything because they don't come to the meetings and we all have to work and everything. So if it'd be okay, I'd like to excuse myself. I
No,
got to go to the dentist in Corsicana.
Mr. Ellison, thank you for bringing it to our attention. Thank you for your comments and support.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else for open forum this morning? Going once? Yes, Sally, what do you got? If you could limit your comments to about 3 minutes in duration. Come on up, you gotta be heard. Sorry, you're one of those people that
Yes,
speak kind of quietly, and that's okay.
Sometimes it's not politically correct to talk about certain topics. So, I don't know everything in the world, so please forgive me if I'm talking and say something that I shouldn't. I've got some info on okay, I believe, I don't know what's going on in our school system, but I believe that the teachers, everybody that can be armed needs to maybe be armed. I believe they are in Abbott. They've got a big sign posted. There's a documentary called Innocence Betrayed. If you want more info, I can get it for you, but it has to do with governments disarming their population for whatever reason. And then what happens? And it's down through the centuries and on different continents. It's a really good documentary. Another thing is it has to do with, through the years since I've been an adult, there've been, for instance, mass shootings and things like that. And I know it's an unpleasant topic, but Breggin.com, BREGGIN.com. He knows about the SSRIs, antidepressants, Chantix is a name brand. It gives people homicidal or suicidal thoughts, Prozac, all these different things that doctors prescribe for people for depression or whatever. And our kids are getting put on, a lot of kids are getting put on medications for ADD and ADHD and all that jazz. So blood samples, I mean, if there ever is anything like that nationwide, they need to do a blood sample to find out if there are those drugs in the people's systems. And I mean, anyway.
All right, thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Anybody else for open forum this morning? If not, we're going to move right into our agenda because we got some business to accomplish today. So what we have, forgive me, I've got my timer here. I got to turn that thing off. Okay. So we have, our consent agenda. We have action on minutes, action on invoices, on payroll, monthly report for revenue and disbursement, and observe and record elected official training certificates. You received emails from the treasurer's office. Ms. Julie Mangrum usually sends that out, and you will find in your packet those. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a motion and a second on the table to approve the consent agenda as presented? Is there any deletions, additions, corrections, snide comments, or anything that you'd like to talk about and say about individually? Hearing none, I'm gonna call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it and the noes, no. Well, that's what I'm thinking. I was just trying to get a little conversation going. I didn't have anybody participating, so. Oh, okay. So, you know what? I do appreciate you feeling sorry for me. A little bit of pity doesn't hurt me either. All right. You got these when you sign?
All right, that's what you just did.
Good deal. Cool. All right. So moving right along in our agenda this morning. Oh, and we got the certificate of Mr. Jim Huffman. So you got Jim's certificate? I'll give you that copy. You didn't get anything. Oh, that's right. Because I was in charge of the agenda last Friday. That's the problem.
was empty.
Y'all let Paula take off. That's what's going to happen. Just let me know. There's only so many balls I can keep in the air at once. Employee wage status changes for this date. On our regular items, we have our new hires this date. That is going to be Mrs. Jessica Watson in the sheriff's office is coming aboard as a new hire. Welcome aboard, Ms. Watson. We have wage status changes, and these are Jason Sparks in the sheriff's office is promoted to jail corporal. Congratulations, Mr. Sparks. Linda Kane in the district attorney's office. This is just allocating the SB 22 funds that the prosecutor's office got. Same thing with Angie Williams, same thing with Stacy Hill. And Brent Huffman, the assistant district attorney, and Ken Dyes and Matthew Boyle, all assistant district attorneys. So those are the employee wage status changes for this date. Motion and a second to approve. Is there any further conversation, consultation, or otherwise want to talk about it? If not, everybody going to say aye? Aye. Everybody going to say nay? Say the same. If not, any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, move on to number 2. Discuss and approve interlocal agreement between Hill County Commission Precinct 3 and the city of Penelope, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, we do these interlocal agreements with little cities about once a year. There's a quid pro quo under the law. They give us something, we give them something. It's an efficient way to do business in small towns and make sure we can do a few things for our neighbors. This particular interlocal agreement also contains behind it the work order and the project approval. So not only is it interlocal agreement, each time you do a project, you got to have an approval. So we're asking for both of those in this today. And once we do the interlocal agreement, the city of Penelope, Texas, and precinct 3, the description of the project to be undertaken is Commerce Street in the city of Penelope is to be milled, rolled back, watered to control dust, seal coated. The city of Penelope will pay the county for materials, man hours, and fuel. And you're good with all that?
Yes.
Okay.
How long is it?
Oh, no, it's short. It ain't real long.
It's main road from 308 to the school. 700 and
So feet.
yeah, we measured it those. And seal code, yeah, it was 780 something feet.
That's going to be really neat having that road seal coat because all the traffic that goes to the school, all the people that go into town, that's going to be good for that community.
Not quite as bad as Southtown, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there a motion?
Make a motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the aforementioned interlocal agreement and project work order. Is there any further discussion or questions regarding both? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. Gentlemen, I get you to sign on that last page there. Number 3, discuss and approve sheriff and constable fees. So we put this on our agenda previously to talk about it, had a conversation. Right at this point, I'm hearing from our constables that we don't need to make any changes. We are on par with our neighboring counties surrounding. So it'd be my recommendation and my motion to the court that we keep our sheriffs and constables fees the same for fiscal year 25.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion regarding that? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 4 is discuss a lease agreement between Hill County and Xerox for a copy machine, printer, fax machine, scanner, the all-in-one deal, and the AgriLife extension service. They need one out there. This is a minimum payment. It's a payment of $199.11 a month. Seems like a pretty good machine for their work. So they're getting rid of the old machine. We're not stuck with it to 60-month terms. questions regarding the agreement between Hill County and Xerox for an AgriLife extension copy machine? Okay,
Second.
we have a motion second, further discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion will carry this 13th day of August, 2024. All right, pass this dude around. Number 5, discuss and/or action on proposed elected official salaries FY25. Gentlemen, these are the proposed salaries that came out of the proposed budget. I'm going to take these and turn them around. This is the notice that I have to put in the paper every year. So this is where we're at and proposed, and I make a motion just to get the conversation started that we propose the salaries as listed on this notice, which is a 3.2% increase like for everybody else. Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
Discussion regarding. Yes, ma'am, I made the motion. I'm the guy that put it together, so it just seems like the right thing to do to ask, stand behind it. So a 3.2% increase is what we have on this, and understanding that, look, we're going to do the salary survey again this next year. We put money in the budget to do it, and that way we can tackle it. But for the elected officials this year, I think that is justifiable.
Okay, what is the proposed for the employees?
3.2, it's the exact same. Yes, sir, across the board, 3.2% cost of living increase for the next year. If you look at what we're doing right now, last year we had to rob Peter to pay Paul to get the raises across the board in, and we had to dive slightly into the reserve. We're going to dive into the reserve this year. We cannot continue to do this. We got to pay for some things occasionally. I want everybody to make a fair wage, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, we have to be able to justify our existence to the taxpayer while we do this. That being said, 3.2 this year, I can justify that. That's based on the Social Security Index cost of living. That's what they're at. Same for the employees, good for the goose, good for the gander. I'm not proposing anything extra for electeds. This next year, however, though, and I mean, as soon as we get finished with budget time, it is my intention to start the process of bringing another salary survey consultant in. And I think everybody this time understands the importance of filling out the paperwork and communicating with those people. I think last time that was lost on some folks, and that's okay. That's fine. We're going to get a redo on this thing. There's an opportunity this next year to get these salaries where you think they need to be and where they should be. The deal is, though, we have to pay for it. And this year, again, I'm eating into the reserve to bring it down as stated goal, but we cannot continue to put more money in salaries and eat into reserve, because once that reserve's gone at the end of, not next year, but 2 years, there ain't no more money. And then we're going to either wind up firing people or cutting salaries. And those two things we've had to do, and I never want to do it again, because you feel about an inch small when you got to do that. That happened after the late aughts, after this whole Barnett Shale business. So I don't like that. I never want to be put in that position again, to look at an employee that's in the eye and go, hey, sorry about your luck. We ran out of money because we didn't do our job. So what I'm trying to do is propose a safe route to do things, not only for the taxpayer, but for the employee. And this next year, we get these budget folks back in here, the salary people back in, not the same people we used.
Well, I'd like to say something
Yes, sir, by all means.
on, nothing against Miss Susan. She deserves everything she gets, but Evergreen on the county auditor is 91,000. You gave her a substantial increase.
The district court.
She deserves it, but
The
that
di-
was not,
The district court gave it to her, not me. I'm supportive of it, yes, no doubt about it, and said so in here. But the district court sets the salary of the auditor and the auditor's people, not us. We don't.
but
get
it
to-
comes out of our budget.
Correct, and they spend a lot of money that comes out of our budget. You are 100% correct.
Okay, I just want to make that correct. We are not giving it. District court gave her that.
Yes, sir, 100%. You are correct. And I announced my support for it openly, and I will tell you why I did that. Even though it's not my decision to make, I think that we need to start paying a scale that's going to bring somebody in here that can do the job. The last person we brought in to replace Susan, we've got problems and it cost us more than we paid that guy to fix it. That's going to be longstanding. Susan, thank God, was able to come back in. And my take is if the district judge is going to pay somebody else more in the future, they need to pay Susan right now for fixing this mess. We are going to have to get our salaries up where we can hire people. You can't get a CPA for what we're paying Susan, right? Even what they just paid her. The lowest paid CPA I could find in this town was 142. I talked to one the other night that's 198. And I get it. God bless them. They got the education. They deserve it. It's like talking to attorneys. I get it that The district judge does that. I was supportive of that and I stay supportive of that because I think it's necessary and proper. But as for county employees, you are correct. We have not handed out those raises. We've not. 3.2 is where we're at.
I want to make sure about that
Yes, sir.
situation.
No, thank you. It's a very good question.
Still,
Very the same for CSC, that 5% that CSC gets, that's the state by income increase. They did a 5 and a 5, so that has nothing to do with SE.
Yeah, that's all state. They pay their salaries.
Yeah.
We pay the utilities, facilities and necessary office equipment, I think is a statute. I don't know what that means after all these years.
okay.
Okay, that's great conversation. I thank you for clarifying that and it needed to be said, but thank you. Anything else on this regards? Hearing nothing, I'm gonna call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Yes, sir. Any abstentions? Motion's going to carry 4-1, show Commissioner Crumpton in the negative. All right, so we're not going to do 6 and 7 today. Budget got in the way of that for us, so we're not prepared to bring that to you. Number 8 is discuss and approve final plat of Rocky Ridge subdivision. Rocky Ridge is here west of town. Billy Basham is the one that was doing it. If you've noticed on the north side of 22, there's been a construction of a road that runs parallel. That's this subdivision. We originally approved the preliminary plan on this subdivision. They've done the construction. Mr. Entz has looked at it and signed off on it, and now it's time for us to approve the final plat. And I have that sitting on Paul's desk. Don't leave until y'all sign that.
That's the one between Peoria and the cemetery there on the right.
Yes, sir, that's it. And
Billy
this,
Bashams.
yes, sir, that's it. And the city of Hillsborough will be providing water to it. I didn't know the city of Hillsborough water went that far.
Yeah, he said they got some meters from them.
They do, so
They used to have wells.
I wondered about that. Okay, that's why the lines
Water there from several wells.
that were out in that area years ago.
Yes, well,
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Okay. It's recommended for our approval of the final plat of the Rocky Ridge subdivision. I'll make the motion, fine.
Say this.
All right, motion and second. Further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Number 9, I put this on Friday and I kid you not, we got 4/10 inch of rain Friday afternoon at Aquila. So burn ban, I fully expected by the time we got here, the Keach Biome Drought Index, which is our level to say where we need to be in burn ban, was going to meet the maximum number of 575. Tom, what was the Keach Biome this morning? We are not at the point where we can declare a burn ban. I'm probably going to put it on back next Tuesday's agenda, though, at the way this is proceeding. Our neighbors to the south, McLennan County, not yesterday, but the previous Monday declared a burn ban. But they missed some showers that we got, and their KVDI is higher than this. So we're paying attention to what's going on around us. I have stated in the past, I hate a burn ban like anything else. It keeps honest people honest is what it does. But right now, we're not at the KVDI drought index in order to be allowed under the code to call for a burn ban. By next Tuesday, if this keeps up, we'll be here. But I mean, honestly,
Let's get a couple showers.
yeah, exactly. So we're going to keep an eye on it for you. And if it comes, we will put it on next week's agenda, just a running topic. If we need it, we'll do it. Number 10, discuss and approve an abatement to tax abatement amendment with Midpoint Solar LLC. Midpoint was done back in 2023, and this was before law went into effect. And what was done at Midpoint was there was a dissolution clause. So basically, we don't have the authority to go in and tell a solar panel farm after their 30-year period, 40 years up, what they can and can't do on private property. So what we were doing is putting a bonding up, trying to make sure that happened. Our legal attorney, our economic development attorney, Mike Dixon, has pointed out to us that that is no longer necessary. The state passed a law in the last legislative session that requires these people to do it. So now it's state law. And the other thing is, we've never tried to work this before. Their choices were a letter of credit, which I think we've all established. We're not fans of letter of credit. Number 2, putting $100,000 in a non-interest bearing account. At the end of 40 years, that might buy you a few loads of gravel. Maybe. The third thing was buying a bond. We couldn't find a bonding company. And again, it's the reason for this whole thing, this decommissioning bond, has been negated by state law. So in order to move this and get this out of our way, we've not put it in our recent agreements. Again, this is an older agreement from last year. It would be my motion that we modify the agreement and waive the requirement for the decommissioning bond because now it is required by state law and it was not at the time this was done. Second. We have a motion in a second. Further discussion.
That didn't have anything to do with our road maintenance agreement.
No, sir.
Damages.
No, sir. This is in the actual tax abatement agreement and not in the road use agreement part of it. Again, we were trying to find ways to protect the county in the long run with a limited authority. It's been clarified that we don't have the authority to do this. And the state went ahead and did their job, and we thank them for it, and they are requiring it. So, any further discussion?
Do you know what that bond is?
The state's not actually making it a bond for them. What the state is doing is putting penalties, civil and possibly criminal, on them if they don't. I'll show you what the language is when we get a court happy to. No, I got it because I figured everybody's going to want to see it. So anyway, all right, in which case I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Gentlemen, I think that on the executive session, there's no need for that this morning, is my understanding. So we're going to pass that. We may bring it up at a later date. And number 12, again, there's not going to be anything there. I would like to jump to number 15 real quick, if it's okay with everybody. And this discussion action on purchase of 2 servers for the Hill County jail camera system. This is the thing that got brought to our attention about a week ago. And what the story is we have a system that runs the jail cameras. It was 3 servers. These 3 servers made up how many terabytes?
112.
Originally, oh no, the old ones that made up 120.
They were 340s.
340s made 120. One of those servers failed. Now, this is not a system that has historically been maintained by IT, but we believe it's a good fit for IT maintenance, so we're taking that in. That being said, we're going to replace 2 servers, and those servers, the new ones, are each how many terabytes?
122.
So yeah, we're going to have longer jail camera recording ability, because sometimes you get notified after 30 days something happened. So we're going to replace those 2. It's not cheap. It's about $30,000. It's not in the sheriff's budget. We did not budget for it in IT. What I'm asking for is this. We have a contingency line that, as of earlier this week when I checked, still had $499,600 and change in it. I would like to use that fund, if you gentlemen will approve it, to buy these 2 servers and install them at the jail. And then from now going forward, they will be on IT's rotation of equipment and maintained. 33 right here, $34,033. They'll have so where are our concerns? Why the rush to spend this? Those servers are all 2019 models, if I recall correctly, some 2018. They're all end of life. They're out of service. They're out of warranty. And I think that we all know what happens when something happens in the jail and we don't have video of it. We don't get the benefit of the public doubt, and the lawyers come running at us. I think it's important what we'll spend saving ourselves from a single lawsuit, from proving that we didn't do bad things like we get alleged. This is an expense for the taxpayers' purposes that makes a lot of sense. But again, well, thank you. I appreciate that. We have a motion. Is there a second? All right, motion and a second to approve. You just wonder some days. You wonder some days. I really would like to have a camera. It'd probably be distracting, and a TV set up here. I could just watch what happens, because you don't know if there's a fist fight, a marathon, or they're just shuffling chairs up there above us. So for those, what's that? WWE wrestling. Yeah, for those of you at home that can't hear that, there's something going on upstairs at the moment. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Yes. Yes, ma'am, please, if you would. It's so much people help. What you got, Holly? Yeah.
Just because I'm cost conscious also.
Yeah.
I put military discounts every chance I can.
Mhm.
Just wanted to throw it out there. I don't know if you guys can get a military discount.
We can't get the military discount, but we do get some other discounts just because we're the government, we buy in volume. But yes, thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right, anything further? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Go forth and buy. All right, so that leaves us number 13, budget workshop. Gentlemen, anything for budget workshop today? Yeah.
Last time we talked about that, losing him up.
70, okay, so I'm not in favor of it, and that's okay. Everybody's got a different opinion on this, and they're all personal. So for every percent we move the employees up, not including the electeds, but the employees, we're talking $76,000 is what it cost us. So right now, we're running a deficit. Take. Bear with me, I want to quote correct numbers on this one. I don't want to get sideways. Right now, we're proposing to deplete a portion of our unbudgeted reserve. And we're going to take that down to. Sorry, right there in front of me is where it was. Sorry, I knew it was in here and I thought I misplaced it for a second. I'll do that from time to time. So what we're looking at right now is taking a budget from, we've got expenditures in the amount of $20,981,320. So $20,981,320 of the general fund. That's just the general fund. That's not anything else. We're currently proposing to drop the beginning balance from 9.2 million, and that's a round number. Remember what I said about round numbers in the budget? They're estimates at this time. As we get closer, we'll refine more. I know Susan works on these all the time. Sent me a worksheet last night about 8:45. So anyway, right now we're taking that down to 8.8 million. So about $400,000 we're taking out of that to run it down closer to that 35%. Right now we're proposing it's going to be about 41. But understanding that if there's an expense, kind of like these servers we just bought that we didn't anticipate when we made this number, that we're not going to start with 9.2. We're going to start with something less than that. So that means that we're going to actually be closer to about 40% of our unbudgeted reserve. That's the reason I want to take this reserve down over a period of 2 years instead of 1. We risk violating our own policy by moving too quickly. When we're looking at these beginning balances, we're doing the best we can do. We really are. Everybody's trying to get a good estimate guess. But because of the way we're required to budget by state law, we're looking at a snapshot in time and we still have another month and a half to go. And how many bridges are going to fail? How many of this is going to go bad? What's going to happen? What vehicle is going to burn if we're going to replace? So that's the reason my cautiousness with pulling down the reserve from 44 to 41. And it looks like after some expenditures now, I'd be closer to 40%. We're headed towards 35. I need to do that. But I can expend those monies one time on capital expenses. They work great for that kind of stuff. It's the reoccurring expenses I have, like employees. Our most valuable asset is also our most expensive liability, our employees. It's just the nature of the beast. We've found that if we don't pay, we can't keep people hired. Once we get the pay up, people stay at the sheriff's office. People stay. You're bringing young people in. The pay needs to go up, no doubt. But I built this budget looking at the numbers, working with everybody we have on 3.2% because I feel that that is justifiable and that we can absorb that impact in the budget. My concern is that next year we don't get another $400 million increase in our taxable valuation. Again, I don't know what next year holds, but we wind up at the same place we are right now. I know there's dissatisfaction with Evergreen and I feel it. I do. And everybody looks at me as the guy that got the big bump and I did, no doubt about it. Didn't have a hand in it, but believe me, I feel the pressure. I do. And all the time. I know that we need to do more and we are going to do more, but I ask that this point we hold to what Evergreen recommended last year, with the exception to you guys have previously made, which are very few. We hold, and then as soon as budget's over, we go into a new salary survey and we all do a better job now that we have some experience of what we need of getting that information out there. But that's anyway.
Well, we had talked last time
Yeah.
about, building that footprint and salary down, but some of these increases were insufficient and given the jobs supposedly. And I think at that point, at least, I thought we were all agreed that needed be adjusted.
I'm afraid if you moved one, then everybody else, I've had several people tell me they would like to have more or justified for more. And so if you do one, then you're opening up the floodgates. So I would be opposed to doing anything.
I would like to go through our next salary survey study and see what it comes up with before we do anything rash, because if we, like Mark said, if we do one, we gotta do it for all, because that's where we came from. That's why, well,
Okay, yeah, I understand.
So we started anarchy all over again.
And selectively increase. That creates a problem in this next round, and I'm going to be pushing hard for that to be adjusted.
I think that's a great
They're
idea.
where they need to be, and we all know.
I agree, and nobody disagrees with you, sir. They're not where they need to be. So my 10 cents is, and this is part of budget workshop because we're talking about it, and we're throwing some ideas out here. we need a committee. And I know committees, things go to die in committees. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I think that to help do this, instead of one person trying to do it or two people trying to do it, that we have more input. Because when you're elected and you're doing this in a you're not doing it in a vacuum. And you've got everybody hitting you from different angles, and it's difficult with the pressures, and plus you got your own jobs to do. I would like to form a committee, or have the commissioners court form a committee of multiple different parties that are party to this. I think it'll provide a better result, better advocacy for all employees. And I think at the end of the day, it's something that we can all go back and have the knowledge of, okay, this is how the process worked. This is why we got to where this is. I think that it was a noble effort last time. I just don't think that the people that we did it with followed through on everything they told us they were going to do, frankly. I think that they came up short. The other thing, I think we have to accept some of that blame, that it was a short time. We did not give ourselves enough time to accomplish our goals, and we needed to start earlier. And that's, when Evergreen said, yeah, we could do this in that timeline. Okay, great. That's what they told us. No, they couldn't do it. This needed more study and more review well in advance of what it was. So that's the reason I advocate. We're going to put this budget to bed right now on the 27th of August, bearing anything stupid coming up. I would like to turn around that first meeting in September and start appointing, they'll have a conversation, maybe a workshop, and then appoint a committee on what we're going to do to start moving forward. One of the things we'll first have to do is, identify who it is we want to use for this, and identify what we want to get out of it, put clear stated goals. They have a career advancement path at the sheriff's office, which I think is wonderful. We don't really have that in a lot of other places in Hill County. And granted, some of it's because it's difficult to pay for, but I was under the impression with Evergreen, that's something we were going to get. That's what we were going to see, the policy and how to move forward. And that's not how it turned out. So I'm not happy with that. I think that when we hire people, we're making a commitment to them like they're making a commitment to us, that we need to show them how you move forward in our organization. Not that you got hired into this and that's where you're at forever. There needs to be a way to let employees know we value them and their contributions and all that they do. And we've come a long way from where we used to be, but there's a lot of work still to do.
Is there still an opportunity between now and next year that it would come about that it could find the other 2%?
Well, before next budget year, we're going to do that salary survey, and then whatever comes of that, we're going to have to fund. So yeah, yes, sir, to answer your question, there is the opportunity.
So that adjustment could help us.
Mhm.
So would we have I don't know how many firms are in that space either, but it would be nice to have
We could see.
options to, from my background, we always got 3 bids for everything that we did, and you don't always select the lowest one, but you have, a smorgasbord to pick from.
I think that's a great idea, and Commissioner, I'm glad you brought that up. That's part of what I want this committee to do that's going to be the first step, is soliciting qualifications, if you will. I don't think a formal request for qualifications is necessary, but soliciting different vendors and who can do this and making presentations so that we can go, okay, this is the one we recommend to the commissioner's court. We talked to these people. We think this is the one to go with, and get that accomplished. So there's more input, more buy-in on who we're even using and what we're trying to accomplish.
The verbiage, like, which I'm not confident with everybody else precincts and use the right words, so I can't have in my department probably use the same.
No, I think you're right. I would recommend that we appoint you chair of such committees when it's come up. But I do believe there needs to be more people, and it's just helpful to get other points of view. So, but thank you. It's an important thing we need to do, and we need to fix it. Yes, sir. No, that's okay. You're gonna speak up, but take a sip of water first. There you go.
So I get it, I understand what you want to do. But we talked before, we've never really, slide the bailiffs.
We previously made those adjustments. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's some previous adjustments I was talking about, previous court. Yeah, no, thanks for the catch. You're right. The deputy is a deputy is a deputy, no matter if that deputy's in the courthouse, that deputy's on the street. And that's the other screw up they made. We can't hire bailiffs at that pay. No, we can't keep people. And so we've corrected that previously. That way we can do it. So we have made that change to it, but that's the extent of it, simply because when we opened this docs, how do we justified everything we did by going, hey, this is what the study says we needed to do, right, wrong, or indifferent. How do we justify making further changes at this point? And I just don't think we can, or I can't myself. So, but I am committed. We have the money in this proposed budget that we will redress this and get more input and more people to the table and hopefully come up with an outcome that will be satisfactory to all parties involved. So, other budget things. Rachel's been working on the budget. She's from the things you guys talked about in court. We've been looked over some last session, the budget hearings we had on the 6th and the 7th. I will try by Friday to get you guys an electronic copy of that budget. We're just going through, as always, we find where we make minor mistakes. We were a formula here or there. It's tweaking it is what it is. Input errors, I'm guilty of that. I don't really type as well as I probably should with these fingers. But we're going back, double checking everybody's work, and we'll try to send you a copy electronically by Friday. If you have to have a paper copy, let me know. I'll make you one, but just we're going to kill lots of trees with this thing. So the notices will go out after this meeting. I've already talked with the reporter last week, and then again yesterday. I sent them blanks on this without all the numbers in it, just so they could lay out their paper. They usually require, their deadline was yesterday because we asked really sweetly. They give us a little bit of leeway. So I will get the proposed notices in. I talked to the tax assessor collector this morning, right before this meeting. She's got the proposed tax rate notice. I have a proposed budget hearing notice. She's working on the language in it just a hair. There's some very specific language you have to use under 111.003B. Anyway, so our notices are where they need to be. We're moving forward at a rate we need to. I think things are going fairly well under these new rules. I will tell you, next year, I'm contemplating doing something. It seems like we had to put the cart before the horse this year. I'm really thinking about backing up and having budget hearings earlier, like in July, and not so used to the county judge under the law filed a proposed budget. Then we had budget hearings and you guys dealt with it. It was, you guys, whatever you approved, we changed, and that became the annual budget. In 21, when they went to this idea of a proposed budget, and then when they refined it further in 23, third special session along with tax rates. Now, when they file the proposed budget, there's a timeline that starts, and all these things have to be done in that timeline. We had to crimp that timeline. I would like to spend, I don't want to drag out the misery, is not what I'm saying. I just would like to get some more input ahead of that timeline. And I'm tempted next year to put something together earlier, not the proposed budget we file with the county clerk, but something to give a guideline of where we're at. Kind of like, we use the 6 months budget report from the auditor as a starting point in our budgets. Using that and putting out budget worksheets and going, okay, what do you guys need for the next year? And that way we can have some of these conversations up front before we file a proposed budget. Yeah, and it gives electeds a little bit more time to look at things. It doesn't make it so cramped. I really feel like, usually we drag this out in the second week of September. I start in May, about 1st of May. You guys get the numbers to me somewhere around the 1st of July, and we don't do a budget until the first, second week of September. That's a good long time to have a lot of good conversations about what's going on. I feel crushed with this. So next year, I think we're going to look at redoing the process a little different. That way we can get out here further. We'll have budget hearings ahead of August. So that 15th deadline I have to file the proposed budget, we'll have a pretty good idea of what that looks like together before we do it, and what the tax rate needs to be before we do it, so that all those things can kind of jihad a little better. So that's what I've learned this year. Anything else about it? I'm going to beat this horse until it comes back alive. No? Okay. I know everybody loves being in here with us today. So that's what I've got. I have no other action items, gentlemen. Thank you for your attention to these things. We will have another regular meeting next Tuesday. And then we're on track right now on the 27th day of August to put this to bed. And in September, we can go back to meeting twice a month. Yeah, I know. You guys got a lot going on. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Motion a second. We stand adjourned. Thank you for